SKOL Vikings, let's win this game.
Vikings fan, things are heating up in Minnesota. There's serious trade talk involving a major defensive name, a new signing being lined up to shake up the rotation, and movement on offense that could open the door for fresh talent. And where it's not about trades or signings, it's about a situation that's got everyone in purple and gold feeling uneasy. Now that last story, yeah, that one's not going down easy. Let's get into it. There are things that, at first glance, look like a drop-off, like a guy just disappeared. But when you sit down, take a breath, and actually watch the film, everything changes. Because it's not just cold numbers. It's not just sacks on paper. And that's exactly where this story starts to get interesting. Now let's talk about the name right at the center of it all, Jonathan Greenard. A lot of people looked at 3 sacks last season, and that was it. The immediate reaction, he regressed. But that's not really the case, not even close. The deeper metrics tell a completely different story. His quarterback pressure rate went up. His win rate in pass rush situations improved. The speed at which he gets into the pocket increased. And against the run, even better. In other words, he's still a problem for any offense. And this isn't speculation. Brian Flores himself made it clear that Greenard often does the dirty work. He disrupts the play. He forces the mistake. Someone else just finishes it and gets the stat. That completely changes how you look at a potential trade. Then there's the other major factor, his contract. He's set to make big money over the next few years. He's looking for a new deal too. That hits the salary cap hard. And we know the team is trying to balance things financially. But at the same time, are you really trading a player who's still this impactful? That's where the market starts to stall. There's interest. The Eagles have already been mentioned, but nobody wants to pay the full package. They'd have to give up a high pick and pay him what he wants. And the Vikings aren't desperate either. Then there's one more factor that changes everything. Dallas Turner. His presence, his growth, and the way he's developing, it gives the front office flexibility. No need to rush. No need to accept just any offer. If a strong deal comes in, great. If not, you keep Greenard and maintain a dominant defense. And that's exactly why this situation is still wide open. It's not about talent, it's about price. And that, my friend, can change at any moment. So let me ask you, would you trade Greenard knowing what's really behind those sack numbers? And stay with me, because the next story brings a potential addition that could shift this entire situation. Quick ask, make sure you subscribe to the channel and jump into the comments. Your voice matters here. There are moments when a team just can't afford to miss. You can't act on impulse. You can't pick just based on a flashy name, because one wrong move here can set you back for years. And that's exactly what's going on right now. While there's ongoing trade talk involving a key defensive piece, the front office is already looking ahead. And when I say ahead, I mean the draft, roster building, planning for what's next. That's where a name starts gaining traction behind the scenes. Danny Dennis Sutton. And look, this is not just any prospect. He's coming out of Penn State with serious production. 23.5 sacks in his college career. Back-to-back seasons with 8.5 sacks. A massive frame. Strong, physical, and athletic. The kind of player that stands out from the very first snap. But it's not just the numbers. He showed up in big games. Against Oregon, for example, he completely took over. It was a high-stakes environment. It was a big moment. But he's not a finished product. Some scouts say he can look a bit stiff at times. Still developing his technique. Not fully polished yet. And that's where the deeper evaluation comes in. If the Vikings go this route, it's not just a draft pick. It's a move that could be tied directly to a possible departure. You already know who. In other words, this potential draft addition is directly connected to the Greenard situation. And that changes everything. Because the team isn't just looking at talent, they're looking at fit, cost, and long-term planning. Now, shifting gears a bit, there's another decision that could come into play. It requires caution. The name being mentioned is Jordan Tyson, wide receiver. First-round talent, strong production, but a heavy injury history, ACL, MCL, and PCL, serious injuries, not a small concern. So here's the question. Do you really spend a high pick on someone with that level of risk? This roster needs stability. It doesn't need a gamble like that. And right in the middle of all this, another possibility emerges that nobody expected this strongly. DeAndre Hopkins. Yes, that DeAndre Hopkins. He openly said he'd be willing to reunite with Kyler Murray. He said if the team calls, he's ready. And that changes the conversation completely. Instead of gambling on an injury-prone prospect, you look at a proven veteran who delivers. He brings reliability. That's a big shift. You've got the draft. You've got risk. You've got experience available. And all of this is happening at the same time. This isn't just noise. This is a full scenario developing, and when things start lining up like this, big decisions usually follow. Stay locked in, because the next story completely shifts the offensive identity. Now the focus shifts, but the impact doesn't drop at all. Because once the run game enters the conversation, the entire identity of the team changes with it. And it's been a long time since we've seen a name come in and truly shake up that position. A long time, but this time, there's real movement. The name gaining serious attention is Jonah Coleman. And this wasn't just casual scouting. The Vikings brought him in for an official visit. It was a face-to-face evaluation. It was a deeper look to see if he truly fits. And when you look at his track record, you start to understand why. Over 1,100 scrimmage yards in each of the last 3 seasons. That shows consistency. It is not a one-year flash. It is sustained production and more. 27 touchdowns in 25 games at Washington. That's real output. But his game goes beyond stats. He runs well between the tackles. He shows vision. He shows patience. He lets blocks develop. He's not the type to panic and crash into the line. He also contributes in the passing game. He has solid hands. He has 87 career receptions. That opens up the playbook. It gives the offense more flexibility. Now, he's not perfect. He doesn't have elite breakaway speed. He's not hitting 60-yard runs every week, and he's a bit undersized compared to the prototype. But there's one thing that stands out: ball security. He almost never fumbles. And in the NFL, that's huge. Nothing kills an offense faster than careless turnovers. Then you look at the team context. Right now, the backfield includes names like Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. They are experienced players. They are guys who can handle the workload. That means Coleman wouldn't come in with immediate RB1 pressure. He can develop. He can learn the system. He can grow into the role. But if he clicks early, then everything changes. Because players like that, when they find their rhythm, can rise fast in the right system. And here's an interesting detail. He already wore purple in college. Imagine that transition happening again, now at the professional level. Now think about this. If he fits into this offense loaded with weapons, this could completely reshape the Vikings' run game. That's when you start talking about real balance. But hold that thought, because what's coming next isn't about running the ball. It's about who's going to run the entire offense. Some competitions are easy to call. You just know who's going to win. But this one, there's no clear answer. And that alone changes the entire atmosphere around the team. Because when it comes to quarterbacks, there's no middle ground. And that's exactly what's happening right now. The name most people expect to take the job is Kyler Murray. He arrived with high expectations. He has elite talent. He has mobility that can break defenses. He has playmaking ability that changes games. But there's a concern, and it's not minor. Chris Long watched every snap and was blunt. Murray needs to improve how he reads the field late in plays. That's when things break down. That's when he has to scan the field and make quick decisions. And that matters, because in the NFL, especially in big games, that's when quarterbacks define outcomes. But it doesn't stop there. Another name is gaining traction in this competition: Carson Wentz. And this isn't exaggerated. People inside the Vikings environment have pointed to Wentz as a better fit for the offense right now. He's a quarterback who stretches the field. He uses all areas. He brings verticality. And when you hear that, things get real interesting. Because now it's not just about talent. It's about system fit. And there's still a third name in the mix: J.J. McCarthy. He's younger, he's developing, but he's very much part of the competition. So nothing is set. Nothing is guaranteed. There is no locked-in starter. It's going to come down to practice. It will come down to training camp. It will come down to preseason. It will come down to pure performance. Whoever plays better wins the job. And honestly, that's a good thing. It creates real competition. Nobody gets comfortable. Nobody coasts. But it also brings risk. Because if no one truly separates, the offense struggles. And that leads to the big question: can Murray fix those issues in time? Or are we looking at a surprise outcome? Because when it starts like this, with an open battle, the answer usually doesn't come until the ball is actually in the air. And stay with me, because the next story goes beyond football. It hits emotion, it hits memory, and it might not sit well with a lot of people in purple and gold. Some stories go beyond football, beyond schemes, beyond stats. It's about emotion, it's about memory. It's about everything you've lived watching this team over the years. And when something like this comes up, you can't ignore it. Because the name back in the spotlight is Kirk Cousins. And this isn't just any conversation. There's a real possibility he could end up signing with the Green Bay Packers. Yes, that's real. And just thinking about it already feels uncomfortable. Because he's not just a former player. He was a leader. He carried this team through key moments. He shared highs and lows with the fan base. Now imagine him wearing the jersey of the biggest rival. That's tough to process. His current situation is interesting. He's still unsigned. The market hasn't fully developed for him, and that's where these scenarios start to emerge. Green Bay lost their primary backup. Malik Willis is gone, and they value that position highly. So from their perspective, it makes sense. Then there's another factor that makes this even more real: his connection with Matt LaFleur. They worked together early in Cousins' career. There's familiarity, there's trust, and in the NFL, that opens doors. But there are also obstacles. Cousins may not want to be a backup. He might prefer a situation where he can start. The Raiders and Steelers are also in the mix. But if the market doesn't move, this option becomes more realistic. And here's the truth nobody likes to say. Sometimes players go where the opportunity is, and if that happens, it's going to feel strange. It's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel divisive. Because one thing is seeing a player leave. Something completely different is seeing him on the other side. And the craziest part? You can't rule it out. When something like this starts gaining traction, there's usually something behind it. So hold on to that feeling, because everything we've talked about leads to one place. And that's where we have to face the reality of this team. And that's the real point. This isn't just one story. It's everything happening at once, across different parts of the roster. There's a potential defensive trade that's more complex than it looks. There is a possible addition being shaped with the future in mind. There is young talent pushing for space on offense. And there is a quarterback battle that could define the entire season. And in the middle of all that, a storyline that hits memory, rivalry, and everything fans feel watching this team. This is not a calm phase. This is decision time. And decisions like these define what this team will be now and in the years ahead. So tell me, what would you do in each of these situations? Drop your comment. Stay tuned. SKOL Vikings, let's go.